Welcome to another deep dive into AI, everybody. We're tackling spatial intelligence today.
Okay.
And we've got some fascinating material here to unpack about what it means for AI to actually grasp and interact with physical spaces.
Right. Yeah, it's a good one.
We want to make sure that you guys get a clear picture of what this crucial ability is and why it matters so much, as AI keeps evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's really interesting to think about how, AI, it's not just about AI knowing what an object is, but where it is in relation to everything else. Think about, I don't know, just like the shape of a room, how objects are arranged in it. That's the kind of understanding that we're going to dive into here. And, as you'll see, this stuff is advancing so fast.
So to kind of unpack this a little bit, our sources define spatial intelligence and AI as the capacity to understand and interpret these spatial relationships, right?
Yeah.
So it's similar to how, our listener might mentally picture rearranging their living room before actually moving the furniture around.
Exactly. And humans use this all the time, just in everyday life.
Oh, yeah.
Think about mentally rotating a puzzle piece when you're trying to fit it in, or navigating your neighborhood, or even just understanding a simple map. Our sources highlight how we use spatial reasoning, that mental manipulation of shapes, navigation skills, our ability to read maps, architectural vision when we design spaces, and even the spatial understanding needed for engineering blueprints.
Yeah, so how does AI even begin to make sense of all this spatially?
Yeah.
It's not like a computer just inherently understands three-dimensional space, right?
No, not at all. Our sources point to three key components.
Okay.
The first one is perception.
Okay.
So this is how AI gathers spatial information.
Okay.
And this primarily happens through computer vision systems using cameras and sensors to capture visual data.
Got it.
But crucially, it also involves depth sensing technologies like LiDAR and stereo vision, which allow AI to measure distances and understand the 3D layout of things.
So the AI is getting a much richer, almost measurable sense of its surroundings.
Much richer than a flat image.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so
building a 3D model in its head, basically.
Yeah, so seeing is just the start, though.
Yeah,
right?
Seeing is just the beginning. The second part is reasoning.
Okay.
And this is where AI processes that spatial data. So this involves using computer vision algorithms to identify objects and geometric algorithms to understand their spatial relationships. And then we have machine learning, where neural networks learn over time to better recognize objects and spatial contexts based on just tons and tons of data.
Wow.
And this learning is how AI gets progressively better at spatial intelligence.
So it's not just programmed to see a wall. It learns what different kinds of walls look like.
Exactly.
And how they define a space.
Precisely.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting to me. What does AI do with this spatial understanding?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Right. Well, that leads us to the third component,
Okay.
execution.
Okay.
And this is how AI acts based on its spatial awareness. So think about path planning algorithms that allow a delivery robot to navigate a busy sidewalk without running into anything.
Yeah.
Or manipulation.
Okay.
Imagine a robotic arm in a warehouse adjusting its grip based on the specific shape and orientation of a package that it needs to pick up.
Yeah.
That precision requires serious spatial intelligence.
That makes perfect sense. I can totally visualize that. So all these advanced AI applications we hear about, self-driving cars, finding their way, AI designing these crazy virtual buildings, or, robots assembling delicate electronics. All of that stuff fundamentally relies on this underlying spatial intelligence.
It really does.
And it's fascinating to me how it mirrors our own abilities.
Yeah.
With navigation and architecture and engineering.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's AI is learning to do what humans have been doing for so long.
Yeah, totally. Got that.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture for, the listener, what's really significant is how AI is moving beyond just identifying objects to actually understanding and intelligently acting within its spatial environment.
Yeah.
This ability to not just see, but to manipulate based on spatial understanding, that's the key to unlocking truly autonomous robots.
Wow.
That can adapt to, unpredictable real-world scenarios.
That's pretty wild.
It is.
Okay, so the core takeaway for everyone listening is that AI is becoming increasingly capable of seeing and understanding the spatial world around it.
Yes.
Through these sophisticated perception, reasoning, and execution mechanisms.
It's impressive stuff.
It really is. It really is. Okay, so I guess this raises a big question.
Yeah, what's that?
As AI's spatial intelligence continues to develop so rapidly, how might that fundamentally transform how we interact with technology and even just the physical spaces we inhabit?
Big question.
It is a huge question, what new possibilities might emerge as AI's grasp of where things are continues to evolve. I mean, it's a future.
It's a lot to think about.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, on that note,
thanks
for joining us here, everybody. We'll see you next time for another AI Deep Dive.